doing what I would call a Trinity turn. So a standard 180-degree turn. When you turn, notice my planes, this is a standard 180-degree turn. My planes, the whole entire time, are perpendicular to the line of sight of the camera. When I start doing a Trinity turn, instead of going a full 180, I go 120 degrees. So I end up here. And then I go 120 degrees. So I end up here. And I go 120 degrees and I end up here. And I go 120 degrees and 120 degrees and 120 degrees. And then what ends up happening is it seems like your planes are off, but it's just a different style of turning. These have been, I've heard these called lazy turns. I call them Trinity turns because you're doing 3 different turns to get around the full 360 degrees, as opposed to a standard turn where it's 2 turns to get around the full 360. What that also means from a practical perspective is, with a regular 180-degree turn, if I go around the turn, I'm overhand here, underhand here, overhand here. You get back to where you started. With a Trinity turn, you have to go around 2 360s to get back to where you started. So I'm overhand here, I'm underhand here, overhand here. Now I'm underhand here. Now I'm going to be overhand here, underhand here, back to overhand here. So you have to go around the 360 twice in order to get back to the same direction you started in, which can create more visual interest, which is one of the reasons that I think it's a great performance tool. Also, it's fantastic when you're performing in the round or performing in a U. My best coaching for people who can already do the turnaround on how to do the Trinity turn or the quote-unquote lazy turn is to relax into your favored direction. So in this particular case, I would say don't start with your weakness, start with your favored one. So you prefer left turn, so you should do the left turn. And then start out doing it normal, and then just relax your poi as you're doing it. And you'll notice what happens is your planes start doing that thing, and suddenly you're in the lazy turn. One of the things to remember is if you're hitting yourself when you're doing the lazy turns, one of the reasons that you're probably hitting yourself is because intentionally with the lazy turn, you have to bend the angle so that you can get around the turn, because normally when you do your 180-degree turn, you're maintaining parallel planes. While when doing a lazy turn, you're basically using subtle plane shifting to get around the turn without doing clean lines. So if it's hitting you, it's entirely possible it's hitting you because you're using lazy angles, right? And the lazy angles are what helps you get around the turn, so you need the lazy angles. Since we're here on this lazy turn situation, not only can you do a lazy turn, you could do a lazy turn while you're traversing space, which gives you even more dimensionality. So, right, if I'm doing my 360 like this is a regular old normal 360, but if I start doing it lazy, and then I move through the space, now you're totally doing something that looks like way more than it is when all you've done is change your footwork. Now, as you aptly pointed out, just because you could do the lazy turn doesn't mean it's not hitting you while you do it. So there is some amount of practice that you need to get used to. And then of course you need to figure out how to actually do the footwork to make that happen. My experience of that piece where I'm going around the circle is that I'm doing what I think of as like a waltz box step. Even though I'm not really even trained to do a waltz, but that's how I experience it physiologically, and I know you dance, so maybe that'll work for you. Maybe not a living room thing because your living room's small, but maybe a backyard thing you could try. And then what you could do is you can take your Trinity turn or your lazy turn, however you want to look at it, and then wherever you want, just put the leg underneath and woo! Switch between them. You can go back to normal, whatever. All of them, they're all options.